the rainy and thunder night, and thunder echoed across the kingdom. The night Princess Amara was born. Her parents, King Aduel and Queen Iphioma, believed her arrival would bring light to the land. But when the midwives carried the child to her mother, the room fell silent. Across the baby's right cheek ran a jagged scar, deep and red, almost glowing, like fire carved into her skin. The old healer gasped, dropping his staff. "This child carries the mark of death," he whispered. "All who look upon it will face misfortune." From that moment, fear surrounded the child. Servants crossed themselves when they entered the nursery, whispering that the princess was cursed. Some refused to touch her crib. Even as she grew, they averted their eyes, bowing low but never daring to meet her gaze. Only her parents looked at her fully, holding her close, swearing they would protect her no matter what the prophecy said.
Spicy.
To shield her from the cruelty of others, Queen Iphioma fashioned a golden veil of fine silk. "The world must never see your scar, my daughter," she said gently as she tied it across Amara's face. "Not until someone truly worthy can love you for who you are." From that day on, the veil became her prison. As Amara grew into a young woman, whispers followed her everywhere she walked in the palace gardens. "She must be hideous under that veil. The gods punish the royal family. If her scar is ever seen, the kingdom will fall." Each word cut deeper than the scar itself. She threw herself into her studies, mastering history, literature, and the languages of faraway lands. If the world would not love her face, perhaps it would respect her mind. But the palace was a cruel place for a young woman. Daughters of nobles who visited the court mocked her behind fans of silk. Some boldly asked, "Princess, are you hiding boils? Or perhaps the mark of a demon?" Amara never responded. She kept her head high, the veil fluttering softly as she walked past them in silence. Her only comfort came at night, when she slipped away to the royal library. It was there, among shelves heavy with scrolls and dusty tomes, that she could breathe freely. She often whispered to herself, "Books cannot laugh at me, pages cannot fear me." It was in this quiet sanctuary that her path crossed with a young man who would change everything. His name was Kelechi, a poor scholar allowed into the palace only to copy manuscripts for the royal record. His hands were ink-stained, his clothes plain, but his eyes were alive with hunger for knowledge. One evening, as he struggled to lift a pile of scrolls, Amara stepped forward. "You'll drop them all," she said softly, her voice warm behind the veil. Startled, Kelechi bowed. "Forgive me, princess. I did not expect you here." Amara tilted her head. "Most do not. That is why I come." From that day, their meetings became frequent. They sat in the corners of the library, speaking about philosophy, astronomy, the history of kingdoms long gone. For the first time, someone looked at her as more than the cursed princess. Kelechi never once asked about the veil. He listened, truly listened, to every word she said. But word of their friendship spread quickly. Court gossips whispered, "The cursed princess has found herself a commoner." Some laughed, others sneered, and a few spread darker rumors, that perhaps she had bewitched him with her scar. One evening, as Amara walked across the courtyard, a group of noble girls blocked her path. Their leader, Lady Adana, smirked. "Tell me, princess," she said loudly so everyone nearby could hear, "does your scholar friend know what lies beneath that veil? Or are you too afraid to let him see the monster you truly are?" The girls burst into cruel laughter. Amara froze, her hands tightening around the edges of her golden veil. For a moment, anger burned inside her, fierce and wild. But then she remembered her mother's words. "Patience, my child. One day, the truth will reveal itself." She simply walked past, her silence louder than any insult. What Amara didn't know was that Kelechi had witnessed the scene from the shadows of the colonnade. His fists clenched, his heart heavy. He had never cared for her veil, her mind, her heart, her courage. These were what drew him. But now he realized the cruelty she faced daily. That night, he swore to himself, "I will prove to her that she is more than the curse." What neither of them knew was that destiny was moving swiftly. A festival was approaching, one where masks and veils were forbidden. Soon, The golden veil that had hidden Amara's scar her entire life would be torn away, and the kingdom would face a truth it was not ready to see. The festival of the new moon was the grandest celebration in the kingdom. Once every year, the people gathered to honor the gods with feasts, dancing, and music that filled the air until dawn. This year, however, the proclamation of the high priests carried an unusual demand. No mask, no veil, no covering of any kind would be permitted. For one night, the priests declared, all must face the gods with bare faces, so truth may shine through. When the decree reached the palace, Amara's heart nearly stopped. Her veil, her shield, would be forbidden. She rushed to her mother's chamber, her voice breaking. "Mother, what shall I do? If I remove the veil, everyone will see the scar. The whispers will become screams." Queen Ephialma's eyes were wet with tears, but her voice was steady. "My child, I cannot protect you from destiny. Perhaps this is the moment the gods have chosen. But what if they hate me? What if they turn against us?" Amara whispered. The queen took her hand. "Then let them reveal their true hearts. You must stand as the daughter of kings, not as a shadow hiding behind silk." The night of the festival arrived. The palace gates opened, spilling light and music across the courtyard. Fires roared in great iron bowls. Drums pounded. Dancers spun like flames in the darkness. Nobles glittered in silks and gold, while commoners filled the air with laughter. And in the midst of the celebration, Amara stepped forward, her golden veil still wrapped tightly across her face. The crowd grew silent. All eyes turned to her. A priest raised his staff. "Princess, you know the law of tonight. Remove the veil. Let the gods see you as you are." Amara's hands trembled. Her breath came shallow. She looked across the crowd and saw Lady Adana smirking, her eyes gleaming with cruel delight. Behind her, the noble girls leaned forward eagerly, hungry for humiliation. And then she saw Kelechi, standing tall at the edge of the crowd, his gaze steady and unwavering. For a moment, courage flickered in her chest. But before she could act, Lady Adana's voice rang out. "If the princess refuses, then it proves the rumors true. She hides a demon's mark. She cannot even face the gods without shame." The crowd erupted in gasps. Some murmured in fear, others in mockery. The drums faltered. The music stopped. Amara's face burned beneath the veil. Her heart screamed to flee, but her feet would not move. Suddenly, Kelechi stepped forward. His voice carried strong across the courtyard. "Enough! She is no demon. She is no curse. She is Amara, a woman of wisdom, grace, and courage. Why do you tremble at a scar when you should fear the ugliness in your own hearts?" The crowd stirred uneasily, some ashamed, others defiant. Lady Adana sneered. "Brave words from a poor scholar, but words will not hide what lies beneath that veil. If she dares claim innocence, let her prove it before us all." The priest lowered his staff again. "The law is the law. Princess, remove the veil." Amara's body shook, her palms slick with sweat. Slowly, she reached for the golden silk, but before she could untie the knot, rough hands grabbed her. Lady Adana and her friends lunged forward, tearing at the veil with cruel laughter. "Let us see the monster." The golden cloth ripped away. Gasps filled the courtyard. The scar shone in the torchlight, jagged and fierce across her cheek. Some recoiled in horror. Others clutched their chests in fear, as if death itself had entered their midst. Murmurs spread like wildfire. The prophecy. It's true. The cursed scar. Amara's vision blurred with tears. Her knees buckled. But before she could fall, Kelechi caught her, pulling her into his arms. "Look at her," he shouted, his voice raw with defiance. "Do you not see her strength? Do you not see her spirit? You call her cursed, yet you cheer liars and bullies. Tell me, who is truly cursed? The girl who bears a scar, or those who cannot see beyond it?" For a heartbeat, silence hung heavy. But then Lady Adana spat on the ground. "You are bewitched, scholar. Her face has blinded you. Do not listen to his lies. She is a danger to us all." The crowd wavered, torn between fear and pity. Some turned away, unwilling to stand against the tide. Others pointed, their voices rising with the chant. The cursed princess. The cursed princess. Amara buried her face against Kelechi's shoulder, her heart breaking. In that moment, she felt smaller than she had ever felt in her life. But as the chants grew louder, she realized something else. She could not hide forever. If they would call her cursed, she would show them what true courage looked like. She stepped forward, wiping her tears. Her voice rang out, steady and sharp. Yes, I bear a scar. But tell me, which of you does not bear scars of your own? Mine is written on my face. Yours are hidden in your hearts. Scars of envy, pride, cruelty. The crowd faltered. Even the priest lowered his eyes. For the first time, silence was on her side. But as Amara stood tall, Lady Adana's lips curved into a sly smile. She had one more plan. One final betrayal that would shatter the princess's fragile moment of triumph. The courtyard hung heavy with silence after Amara's words. For a moment, it seemed as though her courage had pierced the hearts of the people. Some lowered their heads in shame, while others whispered that perhaps they had judged too quickly. But Lady Adana's envy burned hotter than ever. She could not allow the princess to win back the crowd. With a cunning smile, she raised her hand and shouted, "If she truly is innocent, let the gods decide. Let her stand before the sacred flame, the fire that rejects all lies and curses. If she survives, we will believe her, but if she burns, then we will know the truth." Gasps filled the air. The sacred flame was no ordinary fire. It was said to judge the soul. The people murmured in fear and curiosity. Would the scarred princess withstand its trial? Or would she be consumed before their eyes? Amara's heart pounded. The flame had been used for centuries to test criminals, oath breakers, and the accused. None had ever faced it willingly. Her mother cried out from the dais, "No, she has done nothing to deserve this." But the crowd was restless now, their fear and curiosity demanding a spectacle. Amara turned to Kelechi, her eyes wide with doubt. "If I walk into that fire, I may not return." Kelechi held her hands tightly, his voice steady. "Amara, listen to me. The gods know your heart. They will not punish the innocent. And if they dare to take you, I will follow. I will not let you stand alone." His words lit a spark inside her chest. For the first time, she truly believed she was not cursed, not alone. With her chin high, Amara faced the priest. "I will stand before the flame. Let the gods see me as I am." The courtyard erupted in cries of shock. Even Lady Adana faltered, surprised that the princess had agreed so quickly. But her smirk soon returned. She was certain the flame would destroy Amara and erase her once and for all. The sacred fire roared in its great bronze basin, its heat pressing against the skin of all who stood near. The crowd gathered, holding their breath. Amara approached slowly, her scar catching the light of the flames, glowing like molten gold. As she stepped forward, Lady Adana hissed under her breath, "This is your end, monster." But Kelechi moved to her side. "Then let me end with her. I will walk into the flame too." The people gasped again. 2 lives would be tested, not one. Hand in hand, Amara and Kelechi stepped into the blaze. Fire licked at their skin, heat pressed against their bodies, and for a moment it seemed they would be consumed. The crowd held its breath, waiting for screams, but none came. Instead, the flames bent around them like a veil of light, curling but never burning. The fire danced as though it recognized them, as though the gods themselves were bowing. Amara's scar shimmered brighter and brighter until it faded completely, vanishing like mist under the morning sun. A voice echoed through the courtyard, deep and resonant, as if the gods had spoken. The scar was never a curse. It was a mark of strength. Only one who could love her as she is would reveal the truth. She is chosen, not cursed. The fire dimmed. Amara and Kelechi stepped out unscathed, their hands still intertwined. The courtyard erupted. Some fell to their knees in awe, others wept, and many began to cheer. The queen rushed forward, tears streaming down her face as she embraced her daughter. "My child, the gods have freed you." But not all hearts were joyful. Lady Adana shrieked, her envy boiling over. "No, this cannot be. She deceived you all. She bewitched the flame." The crowd turned on her, their patience gone. Whispers rose about her cruelty, her lies, her endless schemes. Where once she had held influence, now she was shunned. Guards seized her at the queen's command, dragging her away as her screams faded into the night. Amara stood tall in the center of the courtyard, her face radiant, her scar gone but her courage shining brighter than any jewel. She turned to the people and spoke, her voice calm but commanding. Remember this night. Beauty is not what you see on a face. It is in the heart that endures, the voice that speaks truth, the love that holds fast even in the fire. You called me cursed, but I was never cursed. It was your fear that blinded you. May you learn to see beyond scars, for every soul carries one. The people bowed their heads in shame and respect, and for the first time, Amara felt no need for a veil. She was free, not because the scar was gone, but because she had faced the world without fear. That night, the kingdom celebrated her not as the cursed princess, but as Amara the brave. And though the songs of the festival echoed until dawn, the true flame that remained was the fire of her courage, a fire no darkness could ever extinguish.